Hello. I'm so sorry for the delay. There was a network issue on my behalf. Uh, I'm so sorry, Deepak.
That's all right. We'll catch up.
And okay, so hello everyone. In this session come discussion, we are going to discuss how to build communities that matters. And we have our esteemed speaker, Mr. Deepak Kumar, the community man, founder of the C3 and Scroll Mirror today. He has a lot of experience in building communities. And I've just following him and seeing his LinkedIn post that aligns so much to communities. Like you can sense that how much he has delved into communities, and we are really honored to have him today with us. So today we'll be discussing everything, like touching the small, little but important aspects of the community. So yes, at the end, you have any kind of questions, Jasper and Roddick, you can ask from Deepak and from me as well. Till then, just and I hope from this discussion you'll get to know a lot of things about communities from the community man himself. Was a little bit introduction from my side, Deepak, but if you want for your introduction in detail, you can go. Then we'll start.
Thank you, Monique. I think that's a quite a bit of introduction that you already gave. That's all about me. For the last almost 8 9 years, I've been spending my time with building startups, communities, and products in the community space. That's what I do. That's what I love doing as well. Mm, yeah, I'm really happy to be here and spend the next 45 50 minutes talking with you about community. I'm always up for it. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so let's start the discussion. So the flow will be like I'll be asking questions which will be directing our discussions related to communities and touching the little aspect. It depends where the discussion goes. So it's open random talk. Okay, Deepak.
Yep.
So I just want to ask, you have so much experience, and like, how can you share a bit about your journey? How you get into communities? Like, at what age, or what just sparked in your mind that you just delve into the world of communities and just became the community man there? So, from where it all started?
Well, if you see, community as an industry is not that much of a mainstream as other industries are, be it design, marketing, engineering, whatever. So, community is not that mainstream or popular as the other, and you don't seem to have an academical pathway to the industry either. So, I believe. Just like many other people out there, I accidentally got into this space as well. I mean, like, most of the folks that I have met as well, um, get into the community, get to do what a community manager does without even actually realizing that's who they are. Right, that may not be in the job description, that may not be your job title, but that's what people end up doing. And after a while, months, or in some cases years, they then land upon these things called community. Okay, then that's when they realize, okay, that's who I am, that's what I have been doing, right?
Yes.
For me, it's pretty much the same. I like interacting with people. I uh, love bringing them together, and just looking at them go and have those conversations gives me sort of this personal satisfaction. And when I was doing my own startups back in 2016, I wanted to build a community around what I was doing. Right, I believe that if I could build a strong community, then that would help my product. Well, back then I was not so successful with that. I was not able to really go ahead and build a great community out of it. But then that's where I think the journey began. And once I exited that company, I decided to focus mainstream on community, and started interacting with the community managers, the C3 universe. Well, that was the beginning of all, where like started to like actually dig into the space. Right, that's when I realized, okay, this is community and this is how it functions. Before then, I have run some clubs, email clubs and so on, but then I didn't know those were communities. I didn't knew that I was doing community myself, right? But then when I started, building, C3, I met a lot of people like me, right? And sitting around in different parts of India, and they didn't really know that, community managers as a job exist as well. So we were like literally shocked to see each other's face in the call. And like, and sometimes when let's say 10 or 15 people join the conversation, people used to get shocked of, oh god, these many people are out there, right? That's how nascent the industry was, to give you an idea. Like when I got into the space, right? Right now it's booming. There's so much happening in the industry. India is picking up. A lot of community managers are coming up. But then 4 5 years ago, that was so not the case. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like really. We just kept doing and doing, and we didn't realize what we are doing. But at the later stage, we realized, okay, that's we are doing. That's a great trajectory, Deepak. And thanks for sharing with us. And you faced a lot of aspects, and you just interacted with a lot of folks. And I just want to ask. I personally got to know you from the C3, which I've explored recently. I really like the vision of it. Like it is the community for community managers, and the term nowadays is booming, DevRel. So you can find community managers of every big company and brand there. So what inspired you to start C3 Universe? Like what initially you thought that let's build a community for community managers, and you just kept doing and doing, and it I guess it's been more than 3 years for C3 Universe.
More than that, I think 4 years or so. Yeah.
Oh my God, more than 4 years. So you just kept nurturing this, and now it's like an umbrella, shedding so many people under it. So, like, how does it all started building C3 Universe, and what inspired you?
I think, like I said, and previously, the answer to that question is a very selfish reason, right? That I wanted to learn this industry. I want to know how it functions, and it is not so common that you might be able to find your first cousin or second cousin working in the space, right? I mean, like if you are an engineer, you probably would be able to find somebody in your family to go and talk to, or somebody in your class or in your neighborhood that you can find and go and talk to, and you can learn about how they function, and that's how you learn and understand, get a grasp of the industry, what it is. But in this case of community, that was not the situation. People were very less in number, and we didn't know who these people are. And in India, it was so nascent. People even understood what the job was, right? If somebody goes out there and tells them they are a community manager, sometimes they are misunderstood as a receptionist, or and customer support executive, this and that. But it is very difficult for people to understand what the job really is. So I wanted to learn, and the best way to learn was surround myself with people who have been doing this. And that's how accidentally I just put up a message on LinkedIn that, let's talk community. If anybody is interested, just get on this call. For the first conversation, for the first call, nobody joined. It was just me talking to myself. And I think in the last couple of minutes, somebody joined just before the conversation ended. That is how it began, right? And but then we kept doing it again and again. I think we did it continuously as a streak, every single Saturday for 80 weeks. That was a very long streak. And didn't really care if anybody showed up or not. Sometimes the how it was a house full, 20 30 people in the room. Sometimes nobody joined, but I'll be still in the call for the next 1 hour, right? Even if no one's joined, and I'll be there, and I'll walk out. That's how we did it for 80 weeks. And something changed midway in the fourth or fifth week. People started coming in. People were shocked to see this as well. Like I said, they didn't know that this kind of job existed, or somebody like them existed out there as well. So what ended up was, C3 becoming this home, or place where people started getting closer, right? People started finding others just like them. a space where they were understood, right? I remember all those conversations where people used to say, when they go out there and tell their either their spouse or their folks what their job is, even their family would not be able to understand what it really is. And when
Yes.
you're not able to understand what the job really is, it is even more difficult to connect with be it day to day issues or anything job related. They didn't really have anyone to go and talk with, basically no one to vent
Yes.
what's going on, right?
Yes.
C3
I can
became
relate.
that space where people suddenly they walk into C3, they see somebody and they are able to, I get that, know what you're talking about. I think that brought people together, and we were like completely houseful for the next booked. There was no slots remaining for the next 8-10 weeks, and we continued doing it. Like that's how C3 was born.
Wow, that's a beautiful journey, Deepak. That you kept nurturing and you just sow a seed and now it's grown to a tree, which that's great. That's great, Deepak. Why C3? The name C3. Why choose this? I'm really curious.
No, there is no really reason. It was not C3. It was Community Cold Coffee is the name,
Okay,
right? So there are three C's out there: Community Cold Coffee, and people started calling it C3, and we just accepted it, right? I named it as Community Cold Coffee. Probably like you, about 90% of the folks do not know the full form of it today, right? They just call it C3. But it was started because I like cold coffee and I
okay.
wanted to talk about community. So I named it Community Cold Coffee.
So that's really great. You named it Community Gold Coffee, but the people, actually, its members named it C3, and now it's evolved to C3. But for you, it's Community Gold Coffee, just close to your heart. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry I didn't know the full form because I recently came to know about it. I'm just in my college.
A
Uh,
lot of folks do
that's
not know, so no worries there. A lot of folks do not know,
uh,
uh, but I can say this one thing: be it this community or any community that you are building, it's always the people that you get in, right? They decide where the journey goes, what the name could be, and whatever they say. I think it's always better to stick with their ideas rather than you put your ego in front of you and say no, I named this as Community Cold Coffee, so that's what it is. Keep that ego aside. Always go with the flow of what people are doing. Keep it very simple. If they call it C3, then it's C3. If they call it C4, it's C4, right?
yes.
So yeah, whatever they decide.
Yes, totally. Even I'm in my college and I just like mad about communities when like-minded people met and you can relate with them and they can relate with us. That's bonding that we can't express our situation to our friends or siblings or parents, but you can express and talk to them. That's a different kind of bonding that we share, and really like this place. Even about C3, I came to know from someone so yes, when I got to know about C3, then I was really amazed. But yes, that's how I came to know about you. Uh, but so that's great. I want to know that when we build a community, we often face some challenges, and we just overcame it and got to experience so many things. What are the challenges that you faced initially, and you eventually overcame? Uh,
There are many, but if I need to talk about one problem that I myself faced and came out of it was overthinking. Right? When it comes to handling people, bringing them together, there's just so many factors in there, right? The moment you cross more than 5 or 6 people, there's a lot of behavioral factors out there. How somebody thinks and how it affects the other individual, and for no reason, what you do may work or may not work, right? And sometimes it doesn't even feel like you have control over it, right? And then you start to overthink and start questioning, what more can I do? That's when the questions of, like, how can I bring up more engagement, how do I bring more people into this that, right? So that was a big challenge that I faced in the initial days, and then I overcome it, by starting to focus on simple things, basic things. Do this ABC, you put a show, tell people, if they join, whoever joins, you put a show to them, express yourself, and then go ahead, catch up with those who showed up, and then remain those who didn't show up, check in with them, what happened, right? These are very basic things that you're supposed to do, right? And instead of overcomplicating, right, and starting to question every single decision, because um, I've also met a lot of community managers who have phone called me and talked about this. It kind sometimes it hangs on to your back, right? And you become too emotionally attached with your community, and whatever happens in the community starts affecting you, right? If people don't show up, you take it personally, right?
Yes,
And you feel like maybe there's something wrong with me, maybe I didn't do enough. That's how you start to think, right? But over a period of time, experience teaches you that, be it a success or a failure, right? When I say failure, let's say you didn't meet the goals of the event or whatever, right? uh, s- you don't really seem to have a lot of control over it, right? You have control over what you can do, and then there is so much other factors out there, a lot of people. And so the real skill is not about manipulating people or somehow making them to attend, but then the real skill lies in how do you react when something goes wrong, or when something doesn't go the way you expected, right? You expected 50 people to show up, but then 10 show up. Then how do you immediately respond back? And if you expected 10 and 50 showed up, like, how do you handle that? So the skill is always in responding back, because you have little to no control over what might actually happen. um,
true. I
right?
can truly relate.
Yeah, people could have fever, people could have a friend's birthday party, people might just forget. That happens more often, right? People might not care about this thing as much as you do, right? You might be like super excited about this, right? And you might be like, all high energy, come on, come on, and people might be like, yeah, yeah, okay, and that would immediately put you off, right? So you can't really force somebody to be as excited as you are, but then the skill lies in how do you respond when the other person is not excited as you are,
Okay,
right? Would you take it personally? Would you immediately go down, or how do you respond? What would you say to that individual, right? So
right.
that's a very big, this is a big challenge, because this is a problem um, that you can't solve in a day or two, right? It is
Yes,
easier said than practiced, right? If
yes,
you try to practice, it is very difficult, because even if you try to be calm and everything, there are going to be days where you get upset, there are going to be days where you're going to get anxious, and these emotions are going to get on top of you, right? And when emotions get on top of you, that's when a community manager loses control over people, right?
true.
It's very difficult, and it takes months of practicing and telling yourself, and also it comes with time, right? When you build so many communities and see a lot of people, what will happen is slowly a pattern will emerge, right? And then the pattern will teach you, like, what is that you have in control and what is that you don't have in control. And then you realize, oh god, like, this many factors, I do not have anything to do, I cannot do anything over this, right? And that's when you start to think analytically, okay, this has happened, then what do I do? This happens, what do I do? Sort of thing.
True. I can truly relate. Now I just have to find that pattern. Let me give you a few examples. I came late. What was the reason behind it? How I responded? Actually, I was not at my home. I am my relative's house, and there was no Wi-Fi, and my mobile network is not working, and I'm just roaming here and there, asking hotspot, and I just recharged at my another number, and I just joined using that network. So this happened at the backstage. How I responded, although I was 12 minutes late, but still the pressure I felt at those 12 minutes, that oh my god, the speaker is waiting, the
Yeah.
audience are waiting. I can truly relate. And yes, the frustration some.
Manik, are you still with us?
True. Yes. Uh,
Okay,
Hello,
lost you
is
for a
my
bit.
voice audible?
Yes, yes, lost you for a
Okay,
bit, just a bit.
okay, no worries, no worries. Maybe, but now is it okay?
Yes, all good.
Okay, all good. That's great. That's so inspiring. Your each and every word just piercing through my heart, and I just got to learn so much from you, Deepak. That's great. So, as a lot of people are building communities, a lot nowadays, and people said this is the best community for you. This is the best community for you. According to you, what are the essential elements of a thriving community and a community that really impacts and helps its members? What are the essential elements that from which we can determine, yes, this is a thriving community, this is the place which is really beneficial for us, like C3.
Right.
The C3 has maintained its aura. When I explored about it, so many people pictures you have posted on your Twitter, and so many people have commented. It's like feel really close to my heart. Even I'm not attached to C3, but it feels like yes, C3 is something really amazing. So, what are the key elements according to you, Deepak?
See, if I have to put it in very simple words, whenever you try to build any community, right, when you start something, what you get at first is nothing but a crowd, right? You get a bunch of people, and with crowd, and every community is basically just another crowd, right? Right. But then with some special qualities on top of that, right? A crowd doesn't have any sense of purpose to it. A crowd doesn't have any what can I say, guidance to it. Crowd doesn't have any discipline to it. Crowd doesn't have an hierarchy. Crowd doesn't have a system. A crowd is a crowd, and that's what happens is when you walk into a crowd, it's just noisy, and people are just doing whatever it is that they like, and it doesn't feel nice for you, right? But then a community is where it's it's all directed. It's more like a drama stage play, which is like properly directed. People are doing what the director asks them to do, and it all there seems to be some purpose, like a story is out there. People are doing for a cause, or people are doing it with the purpose. There seems to be some sort of discipline in place, some order, discipline, order, whatever, maybe a system is actually in place, right? So whatever it is that you initially start, you're going to get a crowd first, right? It is how do you add some discipline to this? It is how do you add some system to this? It is how do you add a purpose to this? That turns that crowd into a community, right? So because both, whether it is a crowd or a community, both is just a group of people at the end.
Yes.
It's a group of people, right? But one is very noisy, one is chaotic, one is disturbed, one doesn't seem to have anything clarity or any purpose to it, while the other has that purpose, clarity, system, discipline, everything in place. So when you go and try to join a new community, you got to immediately look, is it a crowd or is it a community? Is it bunch of noise, or is there some sense of clarity in there, right? If you are able to spot that difference, right, then you would know whether it's a community or a crowd.
Oh my God, that's the simplest way I can ever thought any person can put to explain the elements from which we can determine a better place, a thriving community. Uh, that's really nice explanation of yours, Deepak. Uh,
Thank you.
and yes, as how important is authenticity and engagement when growing a community, and how do you foster that in yours? Because C3, I'm not a part of C3, but I wanna be after this call. We'll discuss, but still, I guess there should be authenticity and engagement in your community. So, how can we inculcate in these items in any community? Because engagement is not something. Which are under our control. It depends on the community members whether they want to engage or not. So, how can we inculcate that in our community?
See, to get an engagement among members, the first thing that you need is clarity in why you want the engagement, right? Engagement with no purpose is not going to help you, even if the engagement happens, right? If I make a post and 50 odd people engage with it, like the post, but then if they're not going to be actually, turning up for my, show, they do not really don't want to be participative. But then I came up with this fantastic copywriting hook, that will make people to like it, right? What difference is going to make, right? Yes, I did get engagement out there, but I didn't really, achieve what I really want to, which is getting people to show up. So
Yes.
before you go and talk about, engagement, I mean, like, you think about engagement, you got to first think, why do I need this engagement, and how much of engagement is necessary to get that goal achieved, right? It's not always, it's very um pathetic, or terrifying to always think, I need a high engagement. I want people to be participating all the time. I want people to log into my app every single day. It's not always that you want people to log into your app every single day, right? Not every
Yes.
app needs that.
Yes.
Depending upon the purpose, the goal of the community, you got to find out what is that decent engagement that you are expecting from an individual, right? For example, it could be 15 minutes a day, 1 hour a week, once a month, or, 3 to 4 hours a week. Like, for example, if you take YC Startup School,
Yes.
before even you go ahead and join the community, they give you the clarity saying that we demand, 10 to 15 hours of your time on a weekly basis. If you're not able to, if you can't actually put that amount of time into this, whatever the 10 or 15, what are that X number, right? If you can't put that X number of hours into this, program, then it is
Yes.
better you do not join the program, because you won't be able to get enough value out of this either, right? So it means that the community has the clarity in knowing how much time is required by an individual, what is the participation level that is needed, right? So that they don't overdo anything, right?
Yes.
So I won't be upset. For example, they won't be upset if I don't show up every single day, because
Yes.
end of the day, what is required is 15 hours a week. If I make it up, right, then it's good, right? If it's weekly once, as long I show up at least once a week for a meetup or something, then it's great. Then I don't have to be necessarily participating in, let's say, a chat group, WhatsApp chat every single day. But then what happens is, without a purpose, you just focus on engagement for the sake of engagement, right? And you get obsessed with everyday DAUs and MAUs, come into picture, daily active users, and you start getting obsessed about those numbers, right? How many people did turn up today? But then, do you really even want people to turn up today, right? That's a
Yes.
question that you need to authentically answer for yourself, right? Do I want people to show up today? If yes, why do I want them to show up? What is it going to do? If there is nothing, right? If there is nothing that I provide, or nothing that actually going to happen, then I would say keep the community silent, right? Sometimes silences are great, right?
Yes.
Right. If you can, some passes or silences, or what makes any poem or anything, beautiful, right?
True.
So instead of saying anything, you just remain calm, you let the group go silent, and then when it is required again, you pour the right amount of, you spark conversation. See, as a community manager, right, your job is not to talk, your job is not to um, listen, or, that all comes as a part of your job. But primarily what you do is always facilitate those conversation, create an atmosphere, create an sort of a situation, an environment where people naturally will start talking, right? Sometimes it could be a simple topic, this is happening, what do you think? Sometimes, if you want to create a debate, go ahead and create a debate. If you want to start a fight, start a fight, right? But then
Okay.
you must know, how do I create a positive environment out here, right?
Yes.
That makes people talk openly, freely. They feel safe to talk here, right? So you focus on first on, why do I need the engagement, then the level of engagement that you need. These two you need to answer honestly, right? Not for the sake
Yes.
of the internet, right? So
Yes.
you answer it them honestly, and then you facilitate an environment, you create an atmosphere that will make that engagement. The last tip that I would give you is, community will demand you to be very creative. And creative doesn't mean that, again, you overdo things, come up with, hackathons and this and that. Uh,
Yes.
for me, an event is anything where more than two people participate. So even if you do a WhatsApp group poll, that's an activity. That's
Yes.
an event,
Actually.
right? Where people are participating, they are voting, right? That is like, let's say, 5 seconds to 10 seconds of the time being spent on that activity,
True.
right? So even that, if you can try to be creative, like, and think very small, you can, like, spark those environments quite easily. And we do that in C3 at very regular basis. We do debate shows, we do, crossword puzzles, we've seen movies together, right? It's We don't constrain ourselves to a system of thinking where we need expert talks or, panel discussions, right? We are open to do anything, like even watching. We once did a Friends TV series marathon, right?
Wow.
We are happy to do anything, right? But then mend it in a such a way that it fits into your community, right? So that is what. So it's a crossword puzzle, but we made it with the names of the people who joined the community recently. So what will happen is, when people try to answer the crossword puzzle, they need to remember the names of the people who joined, right?
Yes.
And the clue is where they work. So people have to go to LinkedIn, search, find the person. So even if they somehow uh, didn't see when the individual joined, or they missed the chance, now, for the sake of crossword puzzle, now the crossword puzzle is an event, an atmosphere that
Yes.
makes people to go ahead and search who this person is. That is what I really wanted. I wanted them to know who are the new people who joined. I wanted to do something creatively rather than boringly. Okay, hey Manik, come introduce yourself to everyone. Rather than that, I just turned that into a game, a crossword puzzle. You fill it out, you figure it out, right? So
Right.
it's all about being that little extra creative with what you want to do.
Oh, that's really great. As you talk about C3, you do community like debate shows. You binged Friends TV series. You talk so many things, and now your words make me. I just fall in love with C3. And even though I'm not a part of it, but still, your words just make me. That's the power in you. I can observe the way you explain complex things so simply, and you put the aura in you is like show how much experience and your beautiful thinking you have about communities and all. That's great. That's great, Deepak.
Thank you, Manik.
Uh, I just like, yeah, I just like to talk with you. If the conversation goes like this, I can talk to you like hours about communities. Yes, yes. That's great. So, as a leader, how do you keep your team aligned with your vision, especially in challenging times? Because, as far as I know, you started C3 with Priyanka Mary, if I'm not wrong. So, as a leader, how do you keep your team aligned with your vision? What is your vision so that they can also get aligned and all the people of a team work in the single same direction? How do you ensure that?
Just to correct you there, we had a team even before Mary Priyanka. It was, Varalakshmi and Rachel, Kirtana. They were, working with us, and then after Varalakshmi left for a new job, Varalakshmi's role was taken care by Mary Priyanka, and Mary Priyanka was one of the members of the community originally.
Okay,
Okay,
that's
and then we met in a meetup in Bangalore. We did a an event there, and that's where we met. And the timing was so right that, Varu had to leave, and, like, we have the spot was just opening up, and Priyanka joined in. And yeah, see, authenticity, the what you asked me to explain earlier, I think that is what will keep anyone, the team, the community, stick together during the difficult times. One thing at least I have been is, try to be me at all times. Where, say for example, if I need to give you an exact example, couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I do not remember the exact timeline, but I was not feeling myself, and I was like, there was so much happening with my life. I tend to involve myself in a lot of activities besides C3. I have my company out there. I am doing a school program called DNA school program,
Yes, yes,
and I do workshops in community building and bunch of other things. So that kind of got me, and I was emotionally overdosed, and I felt like, okay, with this kind of burden, I wouldn't be able to manage C3 properly. And even if I try to do events, it won't be full hearted. And if it is not full hearted, people are going to see through it. So I took a leave. So what I did was I wrote a leave letter to the members of the community, right? So that was me writing an proper leave letter, right? Guys, I won't be available for next 2 weeks. I want a leave for 2 weeks. I asked them leave. I told I'm not feeling myself. There's just so much happening. So until I'm back, I want you guys to moderate the group yourself. So keep it safe, keep it healthy. I know I'm not there to moderate. I won't be there to delete any spam. So I only request you to not spam, right? Think twice before saying anything, right? Be polite.
yes,
Remember all this while I'm gone. Trust me, it had this fantastic vibe for the next 2 weeks. Someone actually from the group texted me that it's fantastic, how you build this community where it's just happening on its own and you don't even have to be there, right? It just
really,
operates on its own. And see, C3 is actually much more difficult to build compared to any other community. The reason being, it's like building a company with a room full of founders, right? You imagine all your 100 employees are entrepreneurs or founders, right?
wow,
What happens is, your entire company is just CEOs. You don't have an engineer, you don't have a marketeer, you don't everybody. And when you say something, everybody understands why you say it, what you say it. There's just so much decode happenings, and it becomes so difficult to handle that company, right? Egos will clash in, politics will walk in, all of these things will happen. So imagine building a community of community managers, right? No matter
yes,
what I do, people will understand why I'm doing it, right? They'll
yes,
understand if I'm doing an event, if I'm taking a snapshot, they know what I'm going to be doing, right?
yes,
They know the marketing that goes behind an event, right? So it is very difficult to do in that case. So the best way for me, maybe that is why with C3 I learned, the best way is to be truly authentic, right? When I'm not doing well, I just tell her I'm not doing well. And when things don't go well, or when I'm upset, right, about something, that also I put
yes,
it out in the group. Guys, I'm upset about this thing.
yes,
I thought we'll be doing this very well, but we didn't do it, right? See, when I bring that kind of authenticity, people also reciprocate it, right?
yes,
When you also put little bit of authenticity and vulnerability, right? When you show vulnerability, the other person feels, okay, I can also show some sort of vulnerability here. When you mend, the other person meant. No matter how much evolution happened, we are still monkeys, right? We reciprocate what the other person does. You throw the cap, I throw the cap. You dance, I dance. So if I am vulnerable, the other person is vulnerable. If I'm authentic, the other person is authentic. So first you gotta be that authentic vulnerable person.
wow. That's the most uniquest way of explanation someone could ever give me. Uh, the personal bonding that you share with all the C3 community members is commendable. Like all the members of C3 are aligned with your vision and they can understand what each and every person can go on through. And truly, it's not an easy task to manage a room full of CEOs. And apart, all the C3 members are community managers, and eventually there will be clash of opinions because I can truly understand. But still, you are doing a great job, Deepak, and I can sense. I basically I don't have the experience. I don't have the right that I can understand because I don't. I know that. But still, by listening from your words, I can just a little bit entering in your shoes and can sense that you maintained a really healthy atmosphere in C3, Deepak. That's great. Authenticity really matters. So, next, I wanna say is what role has mentorship played in your life? Because everyone has mentor. at any stage in your life, whether it's your sibling, it's your friend, it's your father, it's your mother, it's your teacher, or any random people you have met at any place, and then just interaction happens and you got in contact with one another, and just events take place. And what role has mentorship played in your life, basically, and how we can find the right mentors, how we can identify, yes, this is the right mentor, this is the person by listening to whom we can really grow in our life, this is the person that gives really authentic advice that will really benefit us. So yes.
See, more than individuals as mentors, what I do is I take moments as my mentors. It's easier to spot a moment, right, where I can learn something from it. Like right now, this moment, there is something that you might be able to learn from me. So this is a moment where you feel like, hey, what, I can learn something from this 15-20 minutes, so I can be mentored here, right? So it's not that, more than me, you're not attached to me, but you're attached to the moment right now where I'm saying something and that makes sense to you, right? Maybe a couple of days later, when I maybe you and I again talking, what I speak may not make sense to you at all, right? So rather than getting attached to an individual, and I mean, like, that also happens, right? Sometimes you do end up meeting great people. I do have such kind of experienced founders who have invested
Like
in my
you.
company, my
Like you.
VC. So they, for me, they are very far experienced, right? They have built companies of thousands of employees, and they have invested in me. So, and I speak to them and I learn. But more than people, I look for moments. I attach myself to the moments, because moment is not connected with an individual. Moment is not connected with an event or anything. Moment is just happens out there, and it can be anything. Like, um, if you expected 10 people and then 50 people show up, that moment is going to teach you a lot, right?
Yes.
How do you handle that additional pressure, right? And that is a moment where you can be mentored, right? You watching a movie and then you see this great scene of, how it's being done, or it teaches you something. Now that's a moment where you learn something, right?
Yes.
Now the more moments you if you are aware and you keep yourself open, you'll be able to spot many such moments in life, right?
Yes.
From every single thing that is keeps happening around you, you'll be able to find something to learn, and you'll constantly, be mentored, right?
Yes.
So my advice is not, instead of sticking with an individual or finding a mentor, find, moments where you can be mentored, right? Because moments go
Right.
long.
Yes, that's actually I've never thought about it and never heard about it from anybody until this moment when you talked about me. And as you give the experience of like you expected 10 people and 50 showed up, actually I've experienced it 3 days back. I organized an event at a university, and we had a band of 50 people. Eventually 75 people was in the room, and I was like, oh my god, how I'm gonna give them the refreshments, and this is the budget constraint, how will we going to handle. That moment really taught me a ton of things. So yes, from this moment I'll be like thinking that keep moment as your mentor and try to learn as much as you can. Eventually with experience, maybe I am gonna catch these moments and make them my mentors, so that I can learn from them. That's a beautiful way, Deepak, that you have told me. Thank you so much. And like, what are some of the biggest lessons that you have learned as you are a community leader, an entrepreneur, and you have a lot of roles in your life? What are some of the biggest lessons that you have experienced and that you can share with us?
I think I summed it up, in my previous, answers as well, about, not overthinking and everything. If I have to give you one more lesson, that would be, uh, see, sometimes the fastest route to anything, to become anything or do anything, is often the slowest way, right? Right. And when we are in hurry, we tend to lose ourselves, and we don't tend to be aware of what is actually happening, and we don't actually even enjoy the journey of the or the process, right? For example, if you just want this event to get it done and you want it to be great, you're just all so constantly thinking about, what I'm going to say next, how should I lead this to the next one, what should I do, what email should I write later, how do I make this a grand success, right? You're just, thinking too fast, too ahead. Then you lose the essence that is happening right now. So the biggest lesson is to be in the present right now and take it really slow. Communities that are grown very slow, that has a lot of friction, tend to do a lot better than communities that have no friction. For example, if I say just click the link, join the community, that is going to attract hell a lot of people to join the community for no reason,
Yes.
right? And that is going to result in a crowd. If
Yes.
anybody and everybody walks in, that is going to result in it. So there has to be a friction, and there has to be slow. So this is just an unconventional advice, right? Most people always think it needs to be frictionless, it needs to be smooth, and it needs to be fast. That's how we
Yes.
want our life to be, smooth and fast. But
Yes.
what community demands is more friction and take it slow.
Oh my God. Yes, that's
Give me a
true.
second, I'll
That's
be back in a second.
yes, yes, sure, sure. Till then, till Deepak came, thank you so much, Manmohan, Jasper, and Roddick for joining in. In a few more minutes, we'll be opening the Q&A, and you can ask your questions if you have any uh, for 4 to 5 minutes. Then we'll be wrapping up. Uh,
Yeah,
Roddick will be asking the questions in a few more minutes. So, yes, where we are, Deepak. So yes, we want our life to be frictionless and smooth, but still, if you will make your life frictionless and smooth, and you think that everything should be going as you planned, that's not life. Life is something. Eventually, many things are happening unexpected. You'll often find many twists and turns in your life that makes it beautiful, that makes you enjoy the journey which you have of like 80 years, 90 years, 70 years, whatever the tenure, but still, that's the thing which you remember when the final moments come. That's great, Deepak. That's like really nice. The way psychologically and philosophically you explain things is commendable. As the time is very less, we'll be having 1 or 2 questions. Then for 2 or 3 minutes, we'll be having Q&A. If our participants will be having, then we'll wrap up. Okay.
sure.
So yes. Uh, my next question is, what's the one piece of advice you would like the audience to take away from this conversation? Like, we have touched so many things, so many aspects, and we have discussed a lot of things. What's the one piece of advice that you think the participants, or in future, if someone watches this recording, would be learning from it, learning out of it?
I would say don't just blindly believe anything that I said, right? Go out there and try it for yourself, right? And when you do it, the experience that you gain is whole different than when you gain from, be it listening to a podcast or reading a book. You do gain knowledge through those means, great, but then it is more like mining for diamonds when you actually put in the effort and do and learn. And even if it doesn't turn out to be a successful venture, right, that it's okay. I think even a failed venture will teach you more than any book can teach you, right? So you gotta go out there and try. If you want to start a community, just go and start, bring 10 people together and see what you can do. And later, if it doesn't turn out to so well and then the idea gets dropped, that's okay, but then you learn so much, right? From those 10 people, how did you try to bring them? So if you just spend 4 to 8 weeks on anything, right, and actually doing it, you will learn lot. So there's a lot of things that you can learn from these conversations and books and podcast and everything, but nothing matches the experience of actually going out there and doing it. So I my advice would be to like go and do. Don't wait for that right moment. Don't wait to be like, okay, and let me go and watch some more videos and get better and then actually try. No, you'll never. get there actually, to be honest, right? No matter how much prepared you are, community will throw a surprise at you, right? No matter how many experience, how many years of experience you have, still you will find your upsets in a given day, right? Things won't pan out the way you expect it to be. And you could be a 10-15 year experienced community manager, you could be this mastermind, and still you might one day host a event and nobody might show up, right? That's actually possible, and any great community manager will accept to this, right? Because you don't have control over it. If something
Yes.
happens out there and people just got busy, got stuck up with something, no matter what app you make use of, what time you set the call, and how big of a fan base you have, nobody might turn up. That's actually a possibility that could actually happen, right? You no amount of experience, no amount of reading can match an experience of actually getting out there and doing it. So go out and do it.
Sure, Deepak. That's one of the wisest advice that I've heard live from someone. Uh, Audience, if you're watching this, that's it. That's the secret. Just go experience, learn. That's the part of life. That's the trajectory which will be giving you a lot of experiences, and that shape your life. Okay, just go explore and experiment and. Thank Deepak for this wonderful advice. Okay, don't forget to give credits. So, anyone, if you have any kind of questions, just raise your hand. I can onboard you to the stage so that you can directly ask your question from Deepak. Okay, so Rodik, hello. Now you can switch on your mic. Uh,
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
yes, if you're audible.
So hi Deepak, so hi Manik. So I'm trying to build student entrepreneur community of sorts, and like, what are the steps you would recommend, sir, for establishing very a very strong community? And as student entrepreneurs, like especially in India, like at the ages of like at the late teens and all, what content or like what resources do you think would be most valuable for student entrepreneurs in a community? Because like as per your journey, like you've been an entrepreneur and you've been a community manager as well. And let's say we're drilling down one specific niche, like I said, like cutting out the noise and drilling down on one specific niche of student entrepreneurs only. What resources or content do you think would be valuable for them as well?
Great. So, Roddick, before you think about, what is it that you can do that can help an individual get better, first I would ask you to define what does that better mean to you. What do you want these individual student entrepreneurs to become, and where exactly do you want to help them? Do you want to help them find their first 10 customers? Do you want to help them build their first 5 people team? Do you want them to help them find their co-founder? Do you want to help them raise their first round of funding? So there's so many aspects to an entrepreneur life, right? You got to figure out which is that you're helping here with, right? So you take somebody, a student entrepreneur. I'm just quoting an example here, you don't necessarily need to do this, but I probably you can think of, like, and student entrepreneur who has absolutely no friends whatsoever in the industry, is a solopreneur, is working on the project alone, and you help them find that first second partner, second individual to help to work with them. So that's where the community exits. So somebody joins the community when they don't have a student entrepreneur joins the community when they don't have a co-founder, and they successfully exit or graduate your community when they finally find somebody to work with, right? So now when you have clearly understood, okay, this is what my community is going to help, my community is all about finding that second individual to work with, finding that co-founder, then you start thinking, what is it that I can do that will help people to find a new friend, to find a new co-founder, right? If okay, let me do a coffee catch up, let me do a blind date, let me do random storytelling, like what can I do that will help, or let me, can I put up a essay on what are the qualities to look for in a co-founder, right? What are the icebreakers that I can have, when I'm meeting somebody new. So these are content, but it's not that you first think about what content that I can do and then you think about what I can do with the community. First you think about what I need to do with the community. I need to help them find that co-founder. Then you think about the content resources, which combinedly I call them as assets of the community. You create assets that will benefit the members in doing just that. Let me give you another example. If I'm trying to help student founders raise their first round of funding, right, get their first check, right, then what all I'm doing, okay, then I'll start thinking what activity can I do that will help them find their first investor. Can I do a session on how to pitch? Can I do a session on presentation? Can I do a presentation on problem solution identification? Can I bring in some VCs and do a one-to-one catch up with them? Can I I'll let me go nuts and creative here. Can I host a PUBG game where I invite both investors and founders to play together, right? Can I do a chess competition between investors and founders, right? So what are all ways can I make them to network? But then before you think of the activity, what comes first is the individual and what do you want them to become. uh, Roddick, have you played Mario game by any chance?
Yes, I have. I used to love that.
Right. So I'm a big fan of that game too. So there is Mario. Mario eats a flower. Mario gets the superpowers,
Yeah.
and he throws the fireballs at the obstacles, and the obstacles seem to disappear. This is the story of how Mario game works, right?
Hmm.
Now that Mario is that member of your community, right? And that flower is what the asset that you provide to them. And after consuming the flower, they become the superpower where they can throw fireballs at them, right? So first you got to know what you want Mario to become. Do you want him to grow bigger, or do you want her to have some superpower? Do you want her to fly higher? Once you know, then you know what to give,
Wow. I mean, that was like a very interesting analogy. So yeah, thank you very much.
right?
Mm,
Great.
Thank you
And
so much, Rodri. Okay, go on, Rodri, go on.
okay, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, like you had mentioned that sometimes silent periods in a community is quite, crucial. But let's say there is a change, like sort of dormant stage in a community where there's like kind of low engagement. Like I'm talking about, sir, in a very virtual community. And so, like in general, coming to the virtual community, what are your thoughts on this school app, like by Alex Hammers, like the school app, like there's like communities of specific people, like what are your thoughts on that? It's a very new and a very that's one app that's being used by many people. So what are your thoughts on that?
See, my opinion on platforms and technology is that you can build a community on anything as long you know what you really want to do. If you
Mm-hmm.
you can even build a community just plainly using email or newsletter tool like say Behave or anything, and you can still go ahead and build a great community out there. Or you might end up using a very complex system of forums to engage with the people as well. So it's not really about the tech or the platform. That's not a community is not an particular app, right? People don't join a community for the application that you have chosen to work with. A lot of people think so. I mean, like they look for a very easy app because they feel like it is because of the app the engagement is low. Let me tell
Mm-hmm.
you, there were days so where we used to go and engage on this forum, very old forum, built using I think a bulletin board or something, BB board, yeah. And the conversations used to revolve around Marvel comics, and we used to chat in there. And let me tell you, the user interface on those platforms sucks, like it's so terrible, right? And you still see thousands of people having conversations right there. I mean, if you take even Reddit for that case, Reddit interface is not as simple as Instagram is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Reddit is kind of complex. But if the conversation means something to people, you will find people getting up and doing it. So what you really need to focus on is making community that matters, that actually has some meaning to people. Then this platform, anything you do it anywhere, they'll come. You do it on Gmeet, they'll come. You do it on Baby, people will come. Anywhere you go, anywhere people will follow you. right? But if you think otherwise, it's a platform. Okay, like WhatsApp group is easy, people will join easierly, but then what will happen is they joined it because it's just another WhatsApp group. They didn't join it because it has any sense of purpose to them. So the even if engagement happens, right, initially, if like I said, crowd always has a lot of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you hear noise. You go to any bazaar street, it's crowded and it's so noisy. Don't you think engagement is happening there? There's a high level of engagement that is happening there.
Mm-hmm.
But would you call it a
Yes.
community or a crowd?
Crowd, obviously.
It's a crowd,
Crowd.
right? If you just go for an high engagement, you'll end up with a bazaar,
Yeah.
right? So you gotta stick with what you want to do, and if you know exactly what you want your people to become and what you need to do, you can build your community on anything, even school app or any app you can do it. So the app and product is not a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I hope, Rodik, you got answers to your question.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, as the time constraints we have, Jasper, do you have anything to ask? Your will be the last question, so we'll be wrapping up because we'll be ahead of your time. I'm so sorry, Deepak.
Yeah,
Jasper, if you have anything to ask, you can raise your hand.
he seems to have mic issues. He has put questions on the in the chat room or something.
Okay, Jasper is on the stage.
Yeah. Hi, Deepak. This is Jasper Joshua. Hope you're doing good.
And
Yeah, great, nice session. And yeah, the question is simple. I have been, I know you for a long time. So, what's with the Spider-Man team? I thought of asking it long back also, but I can see there's a lot of Spider-Man stuff going on. I mean, you associated with it, the neighborhood and stuff. So, just wanted to get a sneak peek about your experience.
It's a very light-hearted association that I have built with that fictional character. I mean, like you said, it's friendly neighborhood, and it's usually a kid who is not so disciplined, right, but has the right intentions. No,
Yes.
heart. That's how I believe that I usually work. I don't have a lot of discipline in my life as well. Right? I'm usually very messy and chaotic, but I have good intentions at my heart, wanting to do the right thing. So I associated myself with a fictional character a lot, and yeah, and that associated with community in many ways. I mean, spider web, and then community is nothing but a web of connections, right? A lot of ways. So I took it.
Cool. Cool, Deepak. Great. Thanks for answering. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jasper. Everyone, I'm sharing you the LinkedIn of Deepak. If you want to follow him, you can. And if you have any more questions, you can ask in there. And we'll be wrapping the session today because we are a lot ahead of our time. Thank you so much, Jasper, Rudik, and Manmohan, who was previously in the meeting. And not last but not the least, the one and only, the community man, Mr. Deepak Kumar. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing a lot of beautiful and wise knowledge with us. You have answered so many questions, sir. And I hope everyone in future, if somebody watch this recording, they get the answers to so many of their queries, questions regarding communities and all. Thank you so much for joining. Looking forward to being touch with you. Uh, Thank you so much, sir.
Great. Thank you, Manik. Thank you for inviting me. I thoroughly enjoyed the session. You beautifully handled it. Thank you for those clear clarity in what you want to know, the questions that you asked. I think that brought out the answers in a good way. I hope so. Thank you.